When it comes to shaping the language the media uses to talk about the big issues of the day, nothing is more influential than the Associated Press style book. But with new guidelines on how to use the terms racist and racism, the AP may actually raise more questions than it answers. Adam Riley has more.
It may not be appropriate for some of our younger viewers.
After the Washington Post reported that President Trump had railed against immigrants from whole countries in a meeting at the White House, the media struggled to describe his alleged comments.
Donald Trump's crude remarks about immigrants.
Crude and offensive language.
An expletive with all the racially charged connotations that come with it.
But if that story happened today, it might be reported differently. That's because the AP style book now says the press should avoid, quote, euphemisms for racist or racism when the latter terms are truly applicable. In other words, if something is racist, just say so. But there's a catch.
The fact pattern is there. The definition of a racist is someone who makes judgment calls based on ethnicity or race.
By the AP standards, that take was out of bounds because it used racist as a noun for a person, which the AP says not to do. So how about that protest in Charlottesville 2 years ago?
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us!
It's actually not clear the AP would call that event racist either, since the marchers said they were proud white people, not haters.
As a white nationalist, I hope to work with the black nationalists so they're not just, their culture's not wiped away.
In fact, the AP's new guidelines also say calling something racist is not clear-cut, and sometimes the media might need to use racially divisive, racially sensitive, or just racial instead. So much for clarity.
Callie, you've talked about this issue before, and maybe you can help clarify this for me, because I didn't understand the part about not using racist as a pronoun. I mean, sometimes it's applicable, so why not?
Of course it is, but I think what they're doing is similar to what we might say is someone's not a journalist, but they practice journalism. So that's, it seems to me, is what they're saying. Don't say somebody is a racist noun. Say they are, doing racist acts. Do you see what I'm saying? That's that difference. They're trying to be clearer. Actually, what they're trying to do is be a little bit tougher to say stop being so wishy-washy about. Seems like could be crude and offensive.
Well, racist is very direct.
It is very direct, but again, according to the piece, they're saying don't call X a racist. Maybe they're saying you don't have the authority.
Yeah. Yes. Well, racist is a character flaw. It's a horrible thing to call someone if it's not true. And I think we can sometimes debate whether it is or not true. There are non-racist people that sometimes make mistakes and say racially insensitive things. That doesn't make them racist. So, and I think we have to be able to draw the line between what's truly extreme and which I think probably all of us at this table could call racist. I think we would all be comfortable calling the Charlottesville white nationalists racist, even if other people aren't. And at the other end of the spectrum, racially charged mistakes or language or jokes, it's not the same thing. And we have to be able to look at degrees of inappropriate language and not lump them all together.
I think what they were saying was if a pattern is established. So this is if we're dancing around whether or not we're calling President Trump racist, which others have done, as you know. I mean, that's a pattern that's established. You can say, some people say, well, he's just joking. I don't find it funny. And nobody I know that finds it. So, yeah, he is. So I'm saying,
but see,
we can argue about whether or not that's...
the asshole country statement, although completely inappropriate, I don't think that was necessarily racist.
Well, but the point from the AP was it a part of a pattern? That's what I heard in the piece.
Yeah,
and that's what we're talking
that's a
about.
different question.
And that's
but
what we're
just
talking about.
To call a third world or a poor country,
we're talking about when to use it.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
I think this is a difficult one. I don't know that it can be settled with AP guidelines. I think it is difficult for a journalist to do it because first of all, we always think what's in the person's heart. Like to call someone a racist, you have to really understand. Sure, they might have racist tendencies, the language might be racially tinged, but the hesitancy sometimes comes from not knowing what is in their heart, number one, and two, just the discomfort with even approaching it because it's going to be controversial in the use of it. And I think that's a challenge. And I don't know a style book is going to clear
Well, I
that
agree
up,
with you on the
know?
style book issue about trying to make that, but the point here is try to make it tougher. I would say the heart business is really bothering me. We're talking about a systemic problem in this country, not a personal, thing. That's what racism really is.
Right, but I don't think
want
anyone's
people to be
arguing
clear
when
about
you
that,
talk broadly about a problem in the country. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone has a problem. Where you do have some situations is when you have to call someone out as a racist, or acts that people did.
Acts
as
that people did.
Right,
so that's, I think,
right.
what they're suggesting we do with acts that people
Or
did.
speech.
Okay.
Or speech.
Now, Dan.
2 quick points. First of all, the AP style book applies to the AP. For the rest of us, it's interesting, it's guidance, but we're not governed by it. Second of all, this isn't flipping the switch. It's turning up the dial a little bit. We still are in the position of having to make the same judgment calls that we've always made. And the AP is just saying, you can err a little, not err, but you can be a little bit freer about describing racism as racism than you were before. But we still have to make a judgment call.
Don't be
I
so
will say
mealy-mouthed. Yeah.
When I first started in the business, though, I had it there on my desk. It was my Bible. I consulted it quite frequently. So it is the APs, but
it has great influence.
It has great
Yes,
influence.
it has great
yes,
influence.
yes.